So I'm going to focus on leasing a vehicle, but you could lease, there's a number of things you could lease in life. It doesn't have to be a vehicle. For example, most of the photocopying machines that this division has in the schools, they're leased. We lease them for a certain number of years, and then we return it, and then we get a new one. Yeah, because it's cheaper, like, because maintaining it, as they get older, they break down, there's issues, so we just lease. So I think a lot of equipment even that we have, computers and whatnot, they, every 5 years, they just take away our old stuff and they just give us new stuff, so we just lease, okay? So leasing is a contract, right? Yeah. Lease over rent. So leasing, for example, when it comes to a car, you are now kind of in charge of that car for 2 years, right? You sign a 2-year contract. Renting is more short term when it comes to a car. You rent a car for a day or 2 weeks or whatever. Leasing, it's longer, right? And you're in charge you're in charge of small maintenance as well, like oil changes. It's on you, right? So you're bound to it. You're kind of that it's yours for 2 years now. Okay, so that's the main difference. Good question. Okay, so yeah. So for leasing, I'm just gonna give you one formula. I told you I wasn't gonna give you more formulas, right? This is. I'm pretty sure this is the last one. So total lease cost. Yeah, don't call it TLC because then you're gonna forget what it stands for, okay? But you should have a leasing component in finance and call it total lease cost. And there's a down payment component. This may or may not be there. Then there's the payments part. So I will actually chunk this off, right? I'll use a red pen for this. The important part to know if there's ever a down payment is that we don't tax it. If you ever put a down payment, there's no taxes on it. This part right here is total payments, okay, in dollars. So you'll find out there's always a monthly payment, guys, if it's a lease. There's just no way around it. So this is how we find out. We take the payment amount, you add taxes to it, and then you multiply it by the number of payments.
Shayla Hans, if you're in the building, please come to the office. Shayla Hans to the office, please.
And last component here is mileage charge. That is the biggest disadvantage of leasing, that there's a limit on the kilometers you can drive while you have it. Okay, you can't just go to town, you can't go to BC and visit and come back. You're probably gonna have too many kilometers by the end of your lease. They charge you extra. So I need to, miles, get rid of miles. It should say kilometers. I will not throw miles at you. It'll just be kilometers. So the kilometers that you're over times the overage charge times 1.12. Make sure you listen carefully. These parts right here, you only do that if taxes are not included, okay? So I'll make a little note here. Only times 1.12 if taxes not included. That is a big note you need to add there, because some students just use that formula and it's like, oh, 1.12, I wonder why that is there. I'm just going to do it, right? Like, it's like, no, you have to read the question carefully. There may or may not be a mileage charge. There may or may not be a down payment. But there will certainly be the payments part, right? How much have you paid? So keep that in mind. Pros and cons. I'm just going to give you some pros and cons for leasing. Pros, lower payments compared to financing. Jaden, you asked about what's the difference between renting and leasing. Leasing, technically, some of the payments you made kind of go towards eventually owning it. And by that I mean, they'll give you a discounted price when your lease is done. If you want to buy it, then you can buy it at that. If you rent, you can rent a car for 2 weeks. None of that money you gave them towards the rent goes towards owning it, right? It's just not, like, that's it. You gave it back, now it goes back to them. They can rent it to someone else, right? So that's another thing. But there's lower payments compared to financing. That's important. A lot of people like their nice, fancy, schmancy, sparkling cars, right? I've got a brand new car. I can afford it because the payment is so much lower than actually buying it. Okay, and because you're gonna give it back. That's why it's less, right? You're not keeping the entire car. You have lower maintenance costs. Always under warranty. So if you keep leasing, if that's what you're going to do over and over again, your maintenance cost is going to be lower for sure. You can try a vehicle before purchasing it. I find it kind of like a lame excuse for wanting to lease, but it is one. It is one, right? You can actually try it out before you're going to fully commit buying it, okay? So I'm just going to leave it at that. Cons, mileage restrictions. And I will just leave it at that. If I asked you to explain it, I think you should just say usually there's a limit. You get charged if you surpass it. Okay. Another cons is you can't modify it in any way. You can't add and customize it. Can't use car as collateral. Do you know what that is? You can't say, hey, I have a car, can I borrow some money? Because banks always like collateral. They want to have something that stands against the money you're borrowing. They will not see it as you owning it, right? So you can't use it for that purpose. And the last one is payments never stop. I'm just going to add, because you don't know what the province is going to do. Pros, as a business, you can write off payments as a tax expense. You can write off the payment on your tax, like you can say, hey, that's actually an expense that I've incurred as a business. So you pay less taxes because it was an expense, right? Yeah. You can also say there's less downtime as a business, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. Let's go and solve this. Oh, I think I need one more term though. Residual value. The price of the car at the end of the lease. It can be in dollars or a percentage. This is taxed 12%. So if you want to buy it at the end, obviously the car will be less than what it was brand new. So they might say, hey, you owe us now this much in dollars, or they may say a percentage of when it was brand new. So it might be you only have to pay a 60% of what it was brand new. Okay. Let's do a question together. I'll go to page 70. Let me just check. Okay. All right, I'll go to page 70. If you need to take a picture later, I'll let you take a picture, okay? No problem. 70. We're going to compare financing and leasing. That's what leasing is usually all about. Sam finds a Honda Civic. She would like to purchase at a local dealership. The price is $28,000 plus GST and PST, and there are two options. Option 1 is a loan, and option 2 is a lease. Let's start with option 2 because we just talked about it. So let's see here. Let's do option 2 on the right side, and then option 1, because of it's a loan, we know how to do the TVM solver. So I'll put this here. There's your lease. For the lease, she will pay $5,000 down. It says here. Then it's $401 per month plus taxes. If it says $401 plus taxes, does the $401 already include taxes? No, it says this plus tax. So we have to add taxes to this. If it says $401 taxes included, don't worry about taxes. It's already done. Okay? There's a 48-month lease. Then you'll have the option to purchase. I'm going to give this a different color. The option to purchase the car at $12,000 plus taxes at the end. Right at the end of the lease. Switching colors again. The lease has a limit of 20,000 kilometers per year. So 20,000 for every year that you lease. If she drives more than this, she must pay 8 cents per excess kilometers driven. Can I just ask you to add plus tax? Just add the words plus tax. They should have told us whether or not taxes are included. If it doesn't say anything, we're assuming it's not. So let's, it says, A, what will be the total cost of the car after completing all the loan payments in option 1? We're going to leave that for now. B, what's the total lease obligation, option 2, including the purchase, if Sam drives 97,000 kilometers over the 4 years? Let's just do the lease first, not the purchase. So total lease. It calls for down plus total payments. I want you to use common sense on these ones, okay? Like, don't always trust the formula. Don't just follow it blindly. It's like, what's happening here? I will tackle the mileage because that's going to get messy if I include it into this long formula. So let's do mileage here. This is how I tackle it. I will figure out kilometers over. How many kilometers did I go over by? And basically what you want to do is you want to take what you've driven, 97,000 kilometers, minus, what was my limit? 20,000 kilometers for every year. And I drove 4 years, right? Like my lease, I signed for 4 years. So it is 97,000 minus 80,000. So you drove, you surpassed it by 17,000 kilometers. This is very important numbers. I'm going to underline that. So cost would be 17,000 kilometers times the 8 cents per kilometer times 1.12. I am adding taxes because the price itself did not include taxes. If you do this, you get 1,523.20, which is also important to me. So mileage is almost like its own little beast, okay? If there is mileage, you kind of want to tackle that separately and then bring it back into your main calculations. Chances are if I give you a test or a quiz, this I'm going to ask you to do it separately anyways. Okay, it's like what was the mileage charge? That's it, okay? So let's go back to total lease. Total lease is the down payment, which is 5,000 plus, let's figure out our payments. We paid 401. We add taxes to it, and we're going to multiply that by 48 payments because it's 48 months, plus 1,523.20. So that's 5,000 plus, let's clean this up. This gives us 21,557.76. Giving us a grand total of $28,080.96. This is just the lease. Just the lease. Purchase. In this case, we're paying $12,000. And we're adding 12% taxes to that. That gives us 13,440 exactly. You're tired already? Now we're going to add these two up. So this is the lease, and we're going to add the purchase. So that's kind of like all we paid by the time we're owning it. So total lease and purchase is 28 8096 plus 13,440. And that is 41,520. This is option 2. But wait, there's more. We're going to do option 1 as well. I just want to make sure I had the leasing part down. Let's do option 1 now. We're financing it, meaning we're buying it, we're going to the bank getting a loan to buy it. So I'm going to go up here. This is option 1. And here's your NIPV PMT. Okay. And it says compounded monthly. We're making, she will make monthly payments, so PY is 12 as well. What's future value when it's a loan? Please remember that. It's usually 0, right? You don't want to own anything. We're going to figure out our payments. What will go in here? Present value. This one is messy, right? So we got to figure out the cost of the car plus GST and PST. This gives you 31,920 that you're going to be paying for that car. Okay, we're adding taxes, so this is a little bit of a bubble here. So PV is 31,920 minus, remember, if there's a down payment, you subtract that. That gives us 26,920. Interest is 6.99. N is number of years, so it's a 5-year loan times 12, whatever PY is, that's 60. And we're gonna skip the step where you solve. I'm just gonna tell you what it is. You figure out your monthly payment. It's higher, right? It's 532 versus 401. Do you remember how to find the total cost of an item when you're taking a loan? Do you have that formula? Is it N times PMT plus down? Right? That's the formula I gave you, right? You should have that under loans. So we're going to go 60 times 532.92 plus the 5,000 down payment that we made. That gives you 36,975 and 20 cents.
Caitlin Crochet to the office, please. Caitlin Crochet to the office.
Try page 71 if you want to practice lease, okay?